Okay, so you're coming to your belly, laying down flat and settling into that, making whatever adjustments and movements to make yourself comfortable. So maybe you consider moving your shoulders around a little bit first, because sometimes takes the body a minute to get adjusted. You can either stack your hands like pancakes and rest your forehead or either cheek on your hands. Maybe you want to move the hands to the side and rest your cheek down. If you're going to turn your head to the side, it gives a really nice passive stretch to the neck. And I will cue you about halfway through the centering to turn your head over to the other side. So as you get established in prone shavasana, you're going to bring your attention to your breath as your first assignment. And notice how you can feel the belly expand against the floor on the inhale. So if as you inhale through your nose, if that's available to you, you notice that the air is landing more in the chest and you're feeling the chest move against the floor, that's okay. But see if you can start to soften the belly and get the air to move deeper into the body. And then on your exhale, you can feel the belly deflate. Maybe even notice a slight lift of the belly away from the floor. Not that the skin will leave the floor, but you're feeling the belly kind of lift up and away at the edge of the exhale. Continue to feel those cycles of inhales and exhales moving in and out, just like a wave, moving in and moving out. We will be visiting the Niyama Tapas today. Tapas means self-discipline or the fire of discipline. So the sequence today will kind of represent that building the fire. You'll notice that we have some poses that are focused a bit more on the core to build up that internal fire. But tapas doesn't mean just working hard or working harder. It means knowing and being willing for which level of work or discipline or letting go is best for you in that moment. So as I offer all the variations for the poses, use discernment to recognize which variation is best for you today. If you have your head turned to one side, on your next inhale, gently lift the head and turn it to the other side. So recognizing for yourself, maybe feeling the areas of the body today that are holding a little bit more tension. Noticing areas of the body today, or maybe the whole body, that feels a little bit looser, depending on what your experiences have been the past couple days. Not labeling them good or bad, not adding any judgment, just recognizing. And then notice the condition of your mind, of your thoughts. Notice if it's more difficult to keep your attention just focused solely on your breath right now. Or if the mind is chaotic with lots of thoughts and concerns and worries about what was happening earlier in the day or what might be happening later this evening. And again, we're not going to label that. We're just going to notice it. And with grace and discipline, allow that to be an awareness so we can bring our attention back to the breath. Taking 2 more full cycles of breath here in prone shavasana, allowing these inhales and exhales to be even deeper and longer. than the previous ones. And then as you finish those 2 cycles of breath, which if you have your head turned to the side, whichever side that is, you're going to pull that same knee up and out to the side. Maybe the knee just kind of rotates in the hip and the leg rotates in the hip and the knee turns out slightly with the foot just turning out as well. Maybe there's room in your hips and low back for the knee to come all the way up towards hip level. Whichever one is better for you, you're just going to take one more cycle of breath here. And then on your next natural exhale, let that leg slide back in space. And then gently lift your head, turn it to the other side, and then that knee is going to slide up, either just gently out to the side or all the way up to rest at hip level. And then pause there. And again, breathe for one more cycle of breath. And then exhale to slide that leg down. Inhale to lift your chin and then pivot your arms so that you can shift your elbows to land underneath the shoulders. Fingertips are pointing away from you and the sternum is lifting to reach towards the wall in front of you. Keeping your chin parallel to the floor, you're going to really pull the shoulder blades down the back as if you're trying to reach your shoulder blades to your back waist and pull the sternum forward. So you have that push-pull kind of that yin and yang kind of feeling in your body. Gentle little back extension and a shoulder opener and chest opener. Take an inhale here. As you exhale, shift the shoulders out of your way so you can lower your chest and bring your hands back now underneath your shoulders. Tuck your toes into the floor and then inhale to push the torso up. Broaden the knees. Maybe the knees come out to the mat width, toes touching behind you, and then continue the exhale to lower the seat all the way down towards the heels. Coming into child's pose and rest your forehead down on the mat and take a cycle or 2 of breath here. Maybe you can start to reach those fingertips forward and really accentuate this lengthening in the armpit and side body. Take an inhale, gently float the forehead up and start to walk both hands over to the right side of the mat. Maybe the left hand comes part way, maybe the left hand comes all the way and can rest on top of the right hand. Either way, lower the forehead back down between the upper arm bones and then shift your hips over towards the left. So now you're really lengthening from the left wrist past the armpit all the way to the left hip. On your inhale, lift the forehead slightly again. Move both hands now back towards center and then walk them all the way over towards the left. Maybe the right hand comes part way, maybe the right hand lands on top of the left hand, and then as you exhale, the forehead lowers and the hips shift over to the right. Breathe into all the spaces along that right side body. And then exhale to release and move back towards center. Take another breath here. And then inhale, lift the head, start to move the torso up and come all the way up into tabletop. We're going to start to warm up the core a little bit more. So on your inhale, lift the right arm and reach it forward. And then exhale to extend the left leg back behind. Now you can keep your toes resting on the mat, or you can float the left leg up. Maybe the left heel comes up as high as the hip. And you're welcome to stay right here if this is best for you today. Or if you want to go a little further, maybe you bend at the knee And then swing that right hand around. You can either rest the right hand on your pelvis, or if it's available to you, maybe you grasp the front of the ankle on the left side and then start to push the foot into the hand, and the hand pulls back on the foot. So you have that opposition happening again, and you're in cross arches. Take an inhale here, and then exhale gently and slowly. Release that and bring everything back down to tabletop. Tucking the toes into the mat, make wide starfish with your hands, and then inhale and float the knees up. So you're just barely off the floor with the knees, and you can really feel that area where you tighten up the abdomen to put on a tight pair of jeans. Right there, you're firing it up. Take another breath here, and then exhale, release it down. Inhale to extend the left leg long, or left arm long, and then exhale to extend the right leg back. You can keep the toes down, or you can inhale to float that foot up. If you're wanting to stay right here, do so. Otherwise, you can bend that right knee, bottom of the foot comes towards the ceiling, and the left forearm can either swing around and rest on the pelvis, or maybe the left hand grasps the front of the right ankle. You're pushing the ankle into the hand, hand pulls back on the ankle, and you create the opposition for cross arches. Another breath here. And then exhale, gently, slowly, release all of that, extend it long, and then lower down to tabletop. This time with the toenail side of the foot down, so your shoelace side of the foot is on the floor. You're going to inhale, you're going to push into your shins, the front of the ankle, and the top of the foot, and float the knees again. We're going to just hold here for another cycle of breath. Full inhale, complete exhale, and then lower the knees down. Excellent. Again, really paying attention to that nice wide starfish for the hands, and then plugging in the base knuckle of the pointer finger and of the thumb. Tuck the toes into the mat. Take an inhale to prepare, and as you exhale, float the hips up towards the ceiling. As you initiate your downward dog, think about keeping a nice bend in the knees so that you can really have control over your pelvis and bring the sits bones up towards the ceiling to lengthen the spine. If you choose, you can maybe pedal the feet, lowering one heel down at a time, bending at the knee. Maybe you shift the hips from side to side. Whatever kind of organic movement helps you begin to create more space in the hamstring, low back, and extend the spine long. Take another full cycle of breath here. And then, if you would like, you can hang out right here in down dog as we move into three-legged dog. If you want to give three-legged dog a try, you're going to release the right foot from the floor, and on an inhale, just start to float that foot up. Maybe you pause at hip height. Maybe you point the toe and start to extend that right leg all the way up towards the ceiling. Hold here for another breath. Exhale to lower that foot down. Inhale to prepare. And then exhale, start to lower your elbows down to the floor. So now this is dolphin. It might not be a fit for everybody, especially if you have shoulder concerns. If that's the case, you're going to lower your knees and come into forearm tabletop. Whichever variation you have chosen, you're going to take one more breath here. And then on your exhale, start to shift your feet back. Just kind of wiggle them back behind you so you can lower the hips down. And now you're coming into either a forearm plank or knees down. You're in a modified forearm plank. Again, like I said, we're going to really focus on firing up that core. And then take another breath here. As you exhale to prepare, your inhale is going to be to bring one hand to the floor, other hand to the floor, and lift up either into full plank or knees down in modified plank. Last breath here. And then exhale, shift back to downward facing dog. We're going to float through all of those again one more time. This time we're going to be starting with our three-legged dog on the left side. So inhaling, you're really lifting those hips up to the sky. And then exhale to release the left foot. It can hover. You can bring it up to hip height, or you can point that toe and lift it all the way up to the ceiling. Keep equal weight in both hands so you're not tilting the shoulders, but keeping the collarbones parallel to the floor. Exhale to release that foot back down to the floor. Inhale to prepare, and then exhale, lower to the elbows for dolphin or forearm tabletop. Take another cycle of breath here. And then on your next exhale, you're going to shift those feet back, lowering the hips and coming into either forearm plank or modified forearm plank for one cycle of breath. On your next inhale, replacing the elbows with the hands, coming up to full plank. Take another breath here. Exhale, downward facing dog. Take 2 full breaths here, taking a moment for recovery if you need it, bringing the attention back to the breath. And then inhale to bring your gaze to your hands, and you're going to step or walk your feet so the toes land behind the palms. Exhale into forward fold, let the head hang heavy. Inhale, bring the palms to the shins, extend the spine long, and then exhale, forward fold. Press into your feet. Inhale, lift the torso, lift the arms, reach the hands to the ceiling, and then exhale, bring the hands to heart center. You can stay right here with the hands at heart center, or I will show you the mudra for tapas. The hand motion is opening your palms to the sky like a book. You're going to slide your right hand on top of your left hand until you can hook your thumbs. So now you have like eagle wings. So this is Gardana, and it represents the strength of tapas. You can close your eyes here if it's comfortable for you, lower the shoulders away from the ears, and just take another full cycle of breath, checking in with your body and your mind. Exhale to release the hands. Inhale to reach the arms up to the ceiling. And then exhale, pass the hands through heart center as you come right back down into forward fold. Inhale to bring the hands to the shins and extend the arms long. And then exhale, forward fold. Soften the knees, bring the hands down to the floor, and then take a big step all the way back towards the back of your mat. You can hang out right here in full plank, or you can lower the knees down into modified plank. Take an inhale to prepare, and then exhale. You're going to shift the shoulders forward, squeeze the elbows in towards the ribs, and then lower the torso all the way down to the floor in chaturanga. Inhale, you're going to lift up into a low back extension. Now, if you want, you can hang out right here, or if you would like to go back into your forearm plank, if that's good for you today, you're sliding the hands forward till the elbows land under the shoulders, tuck the toes into the mat. Inhale, float the hips, and you're in forearm plank. If you are hanging out in your low cobra, your low back extension, either way, you're going to inhale, lift up into either full plank or modified plank, and then exhale, downward facing dog. We're going to be doing some dynamic, I'm going to be offering some dynamic moves for you for the next series. It may not be a fit for everybody, so take each modification as I offer it. The first option is to hang out here either in down dog or in tabletop. And as I offer three-legged dog, you can extend the leg back like we did at the beginning. Take an inhale to prepare, and then lift the right leg up if you're coming into three-legged dog, or right leg back if you're in tabletop. If you would like to flip the dog a try, you're going to bend the right knee, start to let the right ankle, the weight of it, pull you over. So now you are flipped with your hips up towards the sky. You can reach that right hand high. Take an inhale to prepare. As you exhale, lower the hips to the floor. Inhale and lift. Exhale and lower. Inhale, extend. Last time down. Inhale, lift up. And then exhale, bring the weight of the right hand back around, and you flip back over into three-legged dog. If you are in tabletop for the next movement, you're going to be extending the right leg back and pulling it forward. If you would like to do that from down dog, you're going to inhale to prepare, and then exhale, pull the right knee up. Inhale, extend. Exhale, right knee to right elbow. Inhale, extend. Last time, exhale, pull the knee forward. This time, land the right foot where the right hand was. You're going to create enough space in your hips, so lifting the hips up slightly so you can bring your hands to your elbows and then lift the torso all the way up. Hands at the elbow, at the hips if you choose, or if you would like, you can bring the hands forward, cross the right palm over the left to hook the thumbs, and come back into your eagle mudra. You can hang out right here. As you do, think about pulling that right hip back in space, maybe energetically moving the left hip forward so you can keep that pelvis more parallel to the top edge of the mat. Inhale to prepare. Exhale, tap the knee down and back. Inhale and lift. Again, you do not need to add the dynamic movement if you don't choose to. We're going to do it one more time. Exhale, lower down. Release the mudra. And if you're still up, everybody's going to join us with the back knee down on the ground. Bringing your hands down to frame your front leg. You're going to start to extend that front leg long. Shift the heel forward slightly so you can pull the right toes up. Inhale to extend the spine, and then exhale, round the spine over the front leg in half splits. If you are interested in extending your splits longer, you're going to start to move that right leg forward, shift the left leg back behind you, and if you have a prop, you're going to bring it so that you can rest your right hamstring and butt cheek on the pillow or prop or whatever it is that you have. Whichever version you've chosen, we're going to just take one more cycle of breath here. And then on your next inhale, you're going to start to move that back leg forward, shift the front leg back, move the prop out of the way if you have one. And now you are set up already for low lunge. So your right foot is towards the right edge of the mat. Hands are framing that foot. Untuck your back toes and extend long on that front hip flexor of the left side. You are welcome to stay here. If you would like to add a twist to this, you're going to bring the torso up, hands coming to the front thigh, and then start to shift the left shoulder towards the right thigh. Maybe you rest the left forearm on the thigh. Maybe you bring the outside of the left elbow to the outside of the right knee. Hands come together, and then you twist, bringing the hands towards heart center. Take another breath here. And then exhale, unwind, and lower both hands inside the right foot. So you are now already into a version of lizard. You are welcome to stay right here. If you choose, you can exhale and lower down to your elbows.
If you choose, you can tuck the back toes into the mat and inhale to float the knee. Any of those variations, whichever one works better for you. We'll hold here for one more cycle of breath. And then exhale to lower the knee down if it's up and bring those hands back to the mat if they were down. You can hang out right here in this variation of lizard, or I'm going to offer you some options for cross lunge. It is a deep hip opener and it really fires up the core, so it may not be a fit for everyone today. If you want to take it, you're going to bring that right hand and shift it back so that the right upper arm is behind the right calf, fingertips pointing out towards the right. The left hand comes off the mat, left fingertips point out to the left. You're going to inhale, tuck the toes into the mat to lift that back knee up. And then very last variation is to float the hands and really fire up that core. Gaze is down towards the mat in front of you for one more cycle of breath. Exhale to bring the hands back inside that front leg. And then just start to toe heel the right foot towards the center of your mat. Create enough space in your hips so you're lifting the hips up a little bit towards the ceiling so that you can reach that right hand about 6 to 8 inches in front of the right foot. And then inhale, push off the back foot. Now those back toes can just stay hovering, and you can keep both hands on the floor in this variation of standing splits. If you choose, you can release the left hand, bring it up to the left hip, and start to float that left leg higher so that now you are coming into a variation of half moon, balancing pose. Really flex the left heel, push your energy out that heel. It will help for balance. And if you want, you can extend the left arm up to the ceiling and hold here for one more cycle of breath. Exhale, lift up and step that back foot all the way back behind you. The back outer arch of the foot is lined up to the back edge of the mat. You're going to bend into the front knee and lower the right forearm down to the right thigh, keeping the chest open to the side of the room. Take an inhale here. As you exhale, see if you can shift those hips down, bending into the front knee a little bit more. You can hang out right here, or you can inhale and lift that left hand up to the ceiling. If you would like, here's where I will offer you a variation for the strap. So if your strap is handy, you're going to grab the strap in your left hand and you bring your left forearm across your low back. And you're going to then release the right forearm, reach it under the right thigh, and see if you can grab the other end of the strap, and then open the chest up again towards the left edge of the mat. So you are in bound extended side angle. Now, if you do not want the strap or do not feel like you need the strap and you still want to do the bind, you can reach the right hands under the right thigh and then again open the chest. Whichever variation you are in, we are going to step the left foot forward and come into forward fold. Now, you can stay bound to do that, or you can release the bind if you have it. Take an inhale, start to move that left foot forward, step it up, and come into your forward fold. If you did not have the bind, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to have your elbow here on the right thigh, step the left foot forward, and come into forward fold. Eventually, release the bind. Exhale, release the tension out of the neck, and forward fold. Inhale to press the hands into the shins, extend the spine long, half forward fold. And then exhale, release the tension, exhale for forward fold. Finding that firm foundation with the feet again. Inhale, press into the floor, lift the torso, raise the arms, reach them up, and then exhale to bring the hands through to heart center. Close the eyes if it's comfortable for you, and find your breath. Inhale, blink the eyes open. Exhale, release the hands down. Inhale, reach the arms up. And then exhale, bring the hands down to about shoulder height. Cross the right arm in front and then bring the left arm on top of it, up by the elbows. So you're making an X with your arms. And then bending at the elbows, bring the hands towards the shoulders. If you want, you can stay right here, or you can lift those forearms up so that you are touching backs of the palms together. Or if the shoulders are happy with it, you can intertwine the forearms so that you can bring the fronts of the palms together. And then lift the elbows to about the level of your chin and then pull the hands away from the forehead. Take a breath here. And then exhale, release. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, the hands down to shoulder height. Inhale that left arm across. Cross the right arm on top of it. And then we'll repeat that on this side. So hands either to the shoulders, backs of the palms together, or intertwining the forearms, bringing the fronts of the palms together. And then if shoulders are happy with it, you're going to pull the elbows up to about shoulder height and then release the hands away from the forehead. Breathe into the spaces between the shoulder blades and the upper back. Exhale to unwind all that, release it down. And then bringing the hands towards the center, you can either bring them at heart center or you can bring them back to your Eagle Mudra. Close the eyes and feel the body. Notice if there's a difference in the sensation in the right leg that is different than the left leg. Exhale to release the hands. Inhale, reach them up. Exhale, pass the hands through heart center as you hinge from the hips coming down into forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, deep bend in the knees, bring the hands down to the mat. Step the feet all the way back towards the edge of your mat, either in full plank or lowering the knees into modified plank. Take an inhale to prepare. Shift the shoulders forward. Exhale as you squeeze the elbows in, lower down into chaturanga. Inhale either into that low back extension or maybe you extend the arms and come up into a higher back extension. And then from here, whichever variation you're in, you're going to tuck the toes into the mat. Take an inhale to prepare. As you exhale, lift the hips, passing through plank and all the way into downward facing dog. Now repeating some of that dynamic movement on this side if you choose. Remember, you always have the variation for tabletop instead of down dog if that's better for you. Taking an inhale and lifting the left leg this time, either from down dog or left leg extended in tabletop. If you choose, that left leg can reach all the way up to the ceiling in down dog. And then maybe you bend the knee. Maybe the weight of that left foot flips you all the way around and you come into flip dog with the hips up towards the ceiling. You can hang out here. You can hang out in tabletop, or you can add the dynamic movement of an inhale and then exhale, hips down, inhale and lift. Exhale, lower, inhale and lift. Last one down, inhale up. And then your exhale, your gaze comes to the mat. The weight of your left hand flips you back around and you're right back in your three-legged dog. Either working from tabletop or here, you're going to inhale to prepare. Exhale, left knee up to left elbow. Inhale and lift. Exhale, pull it forward. Inhale and up. Last one, exhale, pull it forward, left foot lands where the left hand was, and you hang out here in your lunge. We're going to create enough space in the hips so we can lift the hands up to the hips and come up into high crescent lunge. Same as the other side. Your right hip energetically pulls forward. Your left hip pulls back. Maybe you have a significant or at least slight bend in your right knee, which will help you gain control over your pelvis. So rather than an overextension in the low back, you can think about moving your tailbone down towards the floor. Hands can stay on the hips, or you can move those hands forward, come into your Eagle Mudra. You can hang out right here, or you can add the dynamic movement with an inhale to prepare. Exhale, tap down. Inhale and lift. Exhale and down. Inhale and lift. And then we will all lower down. Release the back toes, release the hands, and lower the hands to frame the front leg. This time extending that left leg, sliding the left heel forward, pulling the left toes up. Inhale to extend the spine long, crown of the head reaching to the wall in front of you, and then exhale, go ahead and curve the spine over the front leg. Hanging out right there in half splits for a few breaths, or again, if you have a prop and you want to extend that split, bringing the prop under the left hamstring and hip, extending the left leg front and forward, extending the right leg back, keeping the sternum lifted, keeping the shoulders out of the ears. One more cycle of breath. And then bringing those hands to the ground for support, sliding that back leg forward, sliding the front leg back. If you have a prop in your way, move it out of the way. And then coming straight into your low lunge. As we did on the other side, you are welcome to hang out right here in this low lunge with the hands as support. If you would like to add the twist, we're going to start stage by stage. So inhaling to lift the torso, forearms to the front thigh. Exhaling to bring the right forearm towards the left thigh, opening the chest towards the left. And then one last stage to bring the outside of the right elbow to the outside of the left knee, both hands together, thumbs together, and then moving the hands towards the sternum. Take another breath here. And then exhale, unwind, lower the hands inside the left foot. All the variations for lizard that we did on the other side. Maybe you hold it right here. Maybe you lower down onto the elbows. Maybe the back knee is down, or maybe you tuck the toes and float the back knee up. Whichever variation you have chosen, we'll take another cycle of breath. And then exhale. If your knee is up, let's lower it down. If your elbows are down, let's lift them up. Then going either hanging out here or going into any variation of cross lunge. So we'll take that stage by stage as well. First option, left hand comes behind that left calf. So the upper arm is actually pushing into the calf and the left fingers are pointing out to the left side. Right hand comes off the mat, right fingers pointing to the right side. You can stay here, or you can inhale to float the back knee up off the floor. You can stay there, or you can float the hands up off the floor. Fire up that core, gaze down at the floor in front of you to keep that cervical spine protected. Last cycle of breath. Exhale the hands back down to the floor. Toe heel, that left foot closer to the center of your mat. Left hand reaches out about 6 to 8 inches in front of the left heel or left toes. And then inhale, push off that back foot and start to hover the back toes on the floor. Here's your first variation, which is a modified standing splits. Next variation is going to be to start to move that left foot up, maybe, or right foot up, I'm sorry, and maybe the right hand to the right hip. Next variation is maybe you start to extend that right hand up to the ceiling, keeping the hips and the shoulders open to the right, half moon. Take another inhale. Exhale, float the torso up as you land the right foot back behind you, setting up for extended side angle. Outer edge of the right foot is parallel to the short edge of the mat. Left toes pointing away from you, and then start to bend into the left knee. You're wanting to think about your hips going straight down. So you're not shifting your torso over yet. You're lowering the hips down to really make the lunge actually happen in the front leg. Your left forearm comes to the front thigh, right hand on the hip, really opening up the chest to the side. You're welcome to hang out right here. And again, if you would like, you can inhale, reach the right arm up to the sky. If you would like to give the bind a try on this side, you grab your scarf or belt or strap or whatever you have. You're going to get it in your right hand. Bring that right hand around your low back and let the strap hang under your left thigh. From there, your left hand can grab the strap and you open that chest up to the side. Remember that our biggest, what our goal is to open the chest up more than it is to get the bind. If you want the full bind and you don't want the strap, you release that and see if your fingers want to grab behind. Now, we're going to go into that awkward transition into forward fold, and there is a reason that we're doing it this way. So again, if your elbow is resting, you're just going to step the right foot forward. Maybe you toe heel it a little bit to get some momentum and then step up into forward fold. If you're bound, you're going to do that same thing, bringing that right foot forward. Maybe it's in hops, maybe it's in steps, and then land at forward fold at the top of your mat. Take an inhale, and then exhale. Whichever variation, either bound or unbound, you're going to release the hands into forward fold, tension out of the back of the neck. Inhale, extend the spine long. Exhale, forward fold. Now inhale, soften the knees, bring the hands down to the mat, and then step all the way back into downward facing dog. Hips lift high, heels move towards the floor. It doesn't mean that they necessarily touch. Knees move towards straightish, but we don't want to lock out the knees. Take another inhale here. As you exhale, shift your weight forward, release the right knee up towards the right wrist. We're going to be setting up for pigeon, so if you know where you want to go, head there right now. I'll give you a bunch of options. So one variation is having that right heel towards the left groin, and then you just start to shift your weight back, extending the left leg long behind you until you can rest perhaps your right hip on the floor. Or if you have a prop, maybe you stick that again under your right hip and you rest the right hip on the prop. Another variation for reclined pigeon or for sleeping pigeon is to bring the right foot across to the left side of the mat and then lower down. If those variations are not good for your low back, hips, or knee, you're going to swing the left leg around to the front, cross the right ankle on top of the left thigh, bend the knee, and come into a seated figure four, feeling the hip opener on the right side. Taking whichever variation you have chosen, and we're going to hold there for about 2 more full cycles of breath. I'm going to offer the option to come into that 8-limb arm balance. We've been working on it for a few weeks now. If you do not choose to take that, you are welcome to hang out in whichever variation of figure four or pigeon you've chosen and just take this into a more restorative yin style. If you would like to do a little bit more active version and come into the balance, the arm balance, you're going to lift the hips up to slide that right leg up in front, right foot on the floor. Then shifting the hands so that the right fingertips point at the right heel and the right shoulder comes behind the right calf. Right thigh can rest on the right upper arm. Left hand and forearm are mirroring the right hand. So you're coming into a chaturanga style arm. And then you're going to lower the left hip point towards the left elbow. Start to extend that right leg long and then teeter-totter the nose forward and come into 8-limb arm balance. Exhale, release. Whichever variation of pigeon or arm balance you're in, you're going to push yourself back up, swing the leg around and come into tabletop. Hold here, take an inhale, extend the spine, lifting the tail, lifting the chin. Exhale, flex the spine, tucking the chin, tucking the tail. And then inhale back to neutral. Take another breath to prepare, tuck the toes into the mat, and then exhale, float the hips, downward facing dog. Same options on this side. Take an inhale, exhale to pull the left knee up towards the left wrist, and all the same pigeon variations on this side. So maybe heel is towards the groin, maybe you use that prop option with a pillow, maybe left foot comes across to the right side of the mat, or figure 4 seated on this side, looks like the right leg extended in front, left ankle on top of the right thigh, and then bend the knee to pull the shin across and stay seated there, breathing fully, and think about whichever variation you're in. For 2 more cycles of breath, you are directing the breath to wherever you are feeling a strong sensation. If you're feeling actual pain, you need to move to a different variation or come out of the pose. We don't want pain. We do often feel strong sensations as the joints, muscles, and hips open up for more space. Hanging out here, whichever variation of pigeon or figure 4 that you have chosen if you want, or inhaling and lifting the torso if you want to come into the arm balance. This time the left foot comes over towards the left side, left knee is bent. You're going to move the left fingertips to point to the left heel, moving the left shoulder and upper arm under the thigh and hamstring. Right hand mirrors it, so now your right forearm is coming so that you can rest your right hip point on your right elbow. Starting to move the left toes out and forward. Shift the nose down towards the mat. And come into your balanced pose and breathe for 2 more cycles of breath. Exhale to push up. Swing that left leg back around behind you. We'll pause here in tabletop again, taking an inhale to lift the tail, lift the chin. Exhale, flex the spine, round the upper back towards the ceiling. Inhale, come back into neutral spine. We're going to swing our legs around to one side or the other. It does not matter which way. Come to a seat and extend your legs long. Take a breath here. Lower the shoulders away from the ears. And then you're going to keep your left leg extended. Right knee bends. And then let that right leg fall open to the right side. Right foot along the inner thigh of the left leg. Bring your hands back towards your hips. You're going to inhale, lift the hips, and shoot that left leg forward. As you do, you notice that you naturally are bringing then that chest open to the right knee. Your left hand either lands on the left leg or inside the left thigh. Open your right hand back behind the right hip, and then inhale, extend that right arm up to the ceiling. You can hang out here, or you can exhale and rainbow the right arm over the right ear towards the left toes. Feeling all the nice, long, juicy stretches and openings between each of the side ribs. Feeling the opening from the right hip all the way up to the right elbow. Now, you may feel like as you've held this for a few cycles of breath, that maybe there's a little bit more opening. If that's the case, you can start to lower the left forearm inside that left leg, reach the right arm longer. If that's not, then you just hang out right where you are and let your body guide you. Take an inhale here to prepare. And then now as you exhale, start to pivot your chest towards the left thigh and then frame the left leg with both hands. For my body, I always feel more comfortable if now I kind of shift my left hip back and then inhale to extend the spine long over the left leg. Exhale to release the tension out of the back of the neck. This pose is called Janu Shirshasana. We'll hold here for another cycle of breath. Inhale, lift up, use the hands to walk yourself all the way back up to center, and then extend both legs long out in front of you. Nice, we're gonna move into the right side, so this time your right leg stays long. Your left leg bends, bringing the knee up to the ceiling, and then let that left knee fall open to the left side. Bringing the hands back again to the hips, inhale to lift the hips, shoot that right leg long and forward. Energy going out the right heel. Turning the chest and torso towards the left knee. Your right hand lands either on the right leg or maybe inside of it. And then inhale, left hand reaches up. Opening up, lifting up. As you lift up, remember you're lifting up out of the side ribs. You're not trying to pull the arm up by shoving the shoulder into the ear. You want to keep that shoulder blade back down in its pocket. Another inhale here to prepare. Exhale. Maybe you round over, bringing that left hand as if it's reaching towards the right toes. Hold here and breathe. Now, if you want, if as you've had a couple cycles of breath, you feel a little bit more movement, maybe this time the right elbow and right forearm comes down to the floor. Maybe you reach that left arm a little bit longer. Inhale to prepare. And then exhale, lower that left hand down, pivot the chest to face the right leg. And again, for me, I'm going to shift my right hip back a little bit before I inhale to extend my spine. And then exhale to round over the front leg. Inhale, lift the gaze, walk the hands back to lift the torso, and center yourself, extending your legs long again. Really pull back on those toes, engage the thigh muscles to the femur. Maybe you're engaging the thigh muscles so much and pulling back on the toes so much that your heels float. As you do, crown of the head reaches to the ceiling, shoulders move down the back. And then exhale, release. Bending both knees up towards the ceiling, feet are flat on the floor. Hands come back behind the thighs. Take an inhale to prepare, and then as you exhale, you're just going to hinge the torso away from the thighs. So you're not rounding into the spine, keeping the sternum lifted, you're just releasing away from the thighs. You can hang out here, or you can float the toes, or you can float the heels. So this is a variation of Navasana, or boat pose. You can hold there, or you can release the hands and extend the arms long. Maybe you float the heels up to hip height. Whichever variation you're choosing, your shoulder blades are down the back, shoulders away from the ears, spine is lengthened. One more breath here. Exhale, lower the feet. and take a rest. We're going to do 2 more variations of boat pose. As I offer the variation, know that you can come back to any of the options that I just showed right now. So either keeping the feet down on the floor and just moving the torso away from the thighs, or floating the feet any amount, or as we come back into it, let's try that. Chest away from the thighs, floating the feet any amount, maybe the heels come up. If you want to go to another variation, you're going to release your right hand from the right leg. You're going to grab either the left ankle or the bottom of the left foot, and then extend the right leg long. Release the left hand, either reach it out to the left side or reach the left hand back behind you. Then maybe once you're there, if the hamstring is happy with it, you extend that leg back. Inhale to bring all of that back towards center. You can rest and lower your feet down if you want to take a break, or if you want to move right back into the next side. Left hand comes away from the left thigh, grabbing the right ankle or bottom of the foot. Extend that left leg long. Release the right arm. Maybe you extend the right leg if the hamstring wants you to, and your gaze comes back towards your right thumb. Last breath here. And then exhale, hands back behind the thighs, lower the feet down, center yourself, pay attention to make sure you have enough space behind you, either with hands behind the thighs for leverage or hands out if you want a little bit more core work. We're going to round the spine all the way down and rest the torso on the floor. Feel the foundation of the earth supporting you. Feel the tension leave the body. Take an inhale, float the right knee up, pull it in towards the chest. Take an inhale, float the left knee in, pull it towards the chest. You can stay here with the hands behind the thighs, or maybe you float the feet up so the bottoms of the feet are to the ceiling. Hands can stay on the backs of the thighs, or maybe hands can grab the ankles or bottoms of the feet, and you start to pull those knees down to the outsides of your rib cage, knees towards the armpits in happy baby. Maybe it would feel good to rock side to side. Whichever variation you're in, you are attempting to iron your spine down to the floor. So you still want your tailbone reaching towards the floor. So if you're coming with your knees all the way out here and what you're finding is that your tailbone is popping up, just release the knees a little bit to lower that tailbone down. Take one more breath here. Exhale to release your hands, bring your knees together to the center. Inhale to prepare. And then exhale, allow both knees to float over to the right. Maybe your chin comes over towards the left as you extend the arms long in spinal twist. Maybe close your eyes here to start to prepare your body and mind for Shavasana, the final resting pose. Inhale to lift the chin back to center, float the knees up, and then exhale. Either with the feet on the floor or with the feet in the air, you're going to bring the knees over to the left and then chin over to the right. Inhale, chin to the center, float the knees up, and then exhale, lower the legs long, extending the legs. And then once you're there, allow the feet to maybe even come off your mat. Really make yourself big and take up space with the toes falling open to the side. Arms are about a 45-degree angle away from the side body with the upper arm bones open to the ceiling, and then just pivoting from the elbow to lower the palms to the floor. If you haven't yet already, take this opportunity to close your eyes
and settle into that final resting pose. Lengthen and deepen your inhales and exhales. Deliberately exhale tension from any areas of the body where you may be feeling it. As you settle in, I will offer a couple intentions or affirmations for the tapas or discipline Niyama. I realize that growth might be not engaging in what might harm me. I will bring my best self to the world through eliminating those choices that harm me. I am willing to practice that pushes against the conditioning and limitations of my mind, body, energy, and spirit. I am willing for the fire of transformation. Let your mind rest on your breath. Let your body enjoy the rejuvenation and release of the breath. Let your energy be restored by the breath. Take another nice long full inhale through your nose. Just start to bring small movements to the fingers and toes. Maybe start to let that movement move up into the ankles and wrists. Maybe you start to shift the shoulders and the hips. If it would feel good on the next inhale, perhaps you take a nice lengthened good morning stretch, reaching the arms above the head, pointing the toes away from you. And then exhale to roll over to your side body. Right side tends to be more grounding. Left side tends to be a little bit more energizing. On your next inhale, pushing yourself up to seated. And then bringing those hands either to heart center, or maybe you come back into your eagle or strength mudra. You can continue to work with your eyes closed if that's comfortable for you. Take a nice long full inhale here. Exhale to gently lower your chin towards your chest. And namaste. Release the mudra away. Blink the eyes open and lift the chin back up towards the ceiling.